Okay, welcome back. Good to see you. Actually, I wrote myself a couple notes here because a couple things I want to say something about. I understand that some people came to Carla to express their disagreement with the idea of ending the meetings at an hour and a half. Expressing the view that they wanted more time with me, which is really quite a shock to me, since the last time anybody other than Carla wanted more time with me, it was a federal judge in the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. But actually, I had settled on an hour and a half. That's an hour of me yakking and a half hour of questions, because I thought that those long meetings were too great a burden on you guys. I'm always happy to be with you, and always happy to be in conversation with you. So let's call it 2 hours, and see what happens. Okay. Another thing that apparently was also part of the delegation's suggestions were they regretted the absence of the evening meetings. In the past, during these retreats, we would have, for the 3 full days, we would have 2 meetings in the day and then another meeting in the evening with a third of the people who were at the retreat just coming up here and sitting in a circle and talking informally. And the reason we did away with that was because of me, because it just got to be too much for me. I would end up after the retreats just completely, it would take me a week to recover. So not having the evening meetings gives me a chance to get a good full night's sleep at night and still have some juice at the end of the retreat to attend to the normal business that I have to take care of. So I'm not going to reinstate those because I just can't do it. It's just too much for me. We will, however, last time we did this, and in all likelihood we will, and this is kind of in the same vein as those meetings, in that it allows for quick questions and not having to come up with the full Monty here, in the lights and stuff. Sometime at some meeting, sometime before the retreat is over, we will probably have a kind of an open mic where people can come up to the mic and with quick questions, and we can just work it back and forth. So that should fill some of the things that the evening meetings used to take care of. And lastly, and this in my notes, and this is more substantive than those kind of scheduling things and so forth. Someone suggested that it would be good to start or end each meeting with the same kind of guided enactment of the practice as we did this morning. And I really don't see the point in that. The act is not, the act is only the means. And once you have a sense of what I'm talking about, having to do with the act and what the actual action of inward looking entails, the fact that you have attention and you can focus it and you can move it, looking for whatever it is you're trying to look for, that's the looking I'm speaking of, the movement of the focused beam of attention. And once you have that straight in your mind as to what the means are for doing the act, which itself is the means, then it's kind of up to you. And the truth is that the way in which these psychologies operate is entirely idiosyncratic. So the truth is that once the suggestion is heard clearly enough for you to attempt doing it, you're kind of on your own. You know, you really have to figure out how to do this for yourself. And there's and I'm not saying that this suggestion had any taste of this whatsoever in it, but there's always a tendency to want to fetishize these kind of things and to make the kind of practice itself the thing that we're doing and the thing that we're trying to, that's the thing that's going to bring us happiness and peace of mind. It's a kind of a fetishizing. And in this case, that is entirely off base, because the act is of no consequence or significance whatsoever in its own right. There's nothing to it that gives you anything or takes anything away from you, the act itself. And and it's also true, whether you know it or not, the act is a means to an end. It's a way of curing the disease. It's a way that has no particular significance on its own. It just happens to be the case that this act cures the disease. It's like if we made a big thing out of antibiotics, right? We made, antibiotics, oh yes, let me take more antibiotics because the antibiotics are the thing that fix me up. Then we'd get really sick of antibiotics, sickened by antibiotics. And the actual case is, whether you know it or not, that there is really, literally, not a single second of conscious life in which what it feels like to be you is not present in your awareness. It's not that it's hard to find. You're everywhere. Anywhere you look. I say to look inward, and what I mean by looking inward is not looking to me or to the light stand here, right? But to look inward into the content of your mind. Nothing especially spiritual about it. It's all mechanical. And the only reason for the need that we have to particularize the act of inward looking and to make it a thing that we do deliberately is because, lost as we are in the fog of neurotic insanity that the fear of life has bestowed upon us, we have lost sight of what it feels like to be me. Here all the time, but lost sight of. There's things that are much more important to us than this. And the presence of the experience of you is overlooked because the experience of you is not very, as I continue to say, there's not much to it. It doesn't give anything to see it. The whole point of attention is not to bring it to rest in the experience of you. The whole point of attention is to experience life as it unfolds, and to be able to do so in a way that allows us to skillfully navigate the life, assuming a basis of sanity to begin with. So, for all those reasons, I really don't see much point in making a thing out of doing this guided practice at all. If anybody has serious questions or objections about that, let me know and we'll talk about it some more, but I'm pretty firm on that. It just doesn't make sense to me. You've got to do it by yourself, you see. Like even when we did it this morning, when we did it together, each individual person here did it in a solitary moment of inner awareness. It is the movement of your attention that is the means to this, and only you are familiar with the quirkiness and the way in which your psychology has developed your relationship with that beam of attention, and how to work with it and so forth. So you got to figure it out for yourself. Once I tell you what to do, you got to figure it out for yourself. And you will. Because it's you, for God's sake. It's not, it's not Buddha mind. It's not universal consciousness. It's you. Always here. Never absent. The one thing that never changes in your entire experience. The one thing that never changes.